don't forget that you get a CE certificate for attending this webinar. Now, if you signed up and registered in advance, you'll be getting an email that gives you the certificate form. If you dialed in by phone or are watching as a group, you'll need to take a quiz in order to get the certificate as well, so that'll be there as well. And then last but not least, for more information about other webinars, or if you want to see this webinar again in the future, go to edweb.net/code. There's lots of recordings there, more information. It's a great community to just join and be involved with. All right. And yes, the EdWeb team is also here live today to help address any needs as well. So if you run into any issues, feel free to go into attendee chat as well. But all right, let's start that topic here, student voice and choice for coding and robotics. Now, a little bit about me. Some of you guys might have heard of me, or some of you might not have, but I'm Charlotte Chang. I'm the curriculum content manager at Wonder Workshop, where we make adorable robots to teach kids how to code and do more things as well. I've had about 15 years of curriculum design experience across a lot of different companies. I've also done illustration with picture books, and I love to draw and work with kids, basically. So how about you guys? Now, some of you guys have already shared where you're from, but where are you from and what is your role in education? I'd love to get a sense of who's here with us at the webinar. So where are you from and what is your role in education? Let's see, Mavis is from New York. Nice. Got a 3rd grade teacher, Becky. Special ed, Indiana. We got assistant principal. Wow, we got a little bit of everything here. Someone's from Rwanda, nice. 3rd grade teacher, library media, North Carolina, that's great. Someone's from Vermont, Honduras. IT teacher from middle school, perfect, this is perfect for you. We got a science teacher from high school. Wow, we're all over the board, that's great. IT specialist, that's awesome. Lots of special ed teachers, that's great. I used to work in special ed myself, so I love that. Tech coordinator. Someone's a music teacher, para for special ed, really important job as well. I'm designing my own STEM lab again, Lori. Wow, that's the story right there. Great. Now the other thing, thanks for sharing. Keep sharing, guys. That's great. The other question I wanted to ask you also was, what are you hoping to take away from this webinar? Now, I know there was a description of the webinar and also the title, but what are you hoping to take away? What are you hoping to learn from this webinar? Would love to get a sense of what you want to know. How to provide more student choice, more coding information, getting kids excited about coding, yep. Bringing back things for your kids, yep. We'll have some ideas for you there. Ideas to share with teachers. Oh, so for professional development purposes as well. What I love is that these webinars are recorded. So, if you find tidbits that you like, you can always come back to this video and show it to your teachers. And you don't have to show the whole thing. You can just fast forward to the parts that you find are relevant for your kids or your teachers. More student choice and learn more about coding. Okay, so I'm starting to see some trends here. Obviously, you want to learn about more student choice and also coding in general. So I'll make sure we cover some of that as well and provide some resources and point to some resources that you can share with your students and your fellow teachers. So here we go. So voice and choice. What is voice and choice? It's a very general terminology. You hear it used a lot. To me, voice and choice means that you're giving students more agency and ownership over their own learning. So Rebecca Alber from Edutopia, I really like this quote, said, yep, they're buzzwords, Lori. I really like this quote. It says, co-constructing knowledge means giving up the myself and them role of teacher and students and fully embracing the wonder and journey of us. So one of the things that can be really scary when you're exploring how to add voice and choice into your classroom is it does sort of feel like you're giving up a little bit of control. And a lot of times, when you're going through your teacher training, you're told, okay, you have to establish leadership. You have to show that you're in control of the classroom. And yes, those are all very important things, but you have to sort of give it up a little bit where it's, okay, it's me versus them. And you have to turn it into a we, where you're working together on an activity and the kids have agency in that and they have voice in that as well. So yeah, it's very, very hard, Lori, as an old teacher. I am a very type A personality, so it can be hard to give up that control, but it's beautiful when we do it right, So let's see. I I'm going to model this by giving up a little bit of control myself, okay? So I wanted to show a video about voice and choice, and I'm going to give you guys a choice, all right? So you have two options, video A, which talks about voice and choice through a teacher's perspective, and video B talks about voice and choice through a student's perspective. And once again, I'm also giving up a little bit of control. I've never done a poll before, so I'm about to start a poll. So think about it. Video A is teacher's perspective. Video B, I'm going to play a poll. You're going to answer it, and I'm going to see which one wins out. Are you guys ready? Go. So put in that answer there. Ooh. Okay, this is a very clear answer here. I'm getting 90% video B, voice and choice through a student's perspective. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys like 2 more seconds to put in that. Make sure you put it in the poll. There we go. All right, I'm gonna close it now because there's a very clear answer here. So we're gonna play video B, the student's perspective. Let me find that real quick. Okay, here we go. Make sure you got your volume up.
I was born in Suva, which is the capital of Fiji, and life was different in almost every single way. My father felt that if I received a college education here, I would be a lot more successful. So that was one of the significant reasons we left Fiji. I started 8th grade here, and I struggled academically at first. Coming here to Impact was really the key thing that helped me change, because I was given a chance to start over. My name is Rahil Maharaj, and I go to Impact Academy of Arts and Technology in Hayward, which is a small project-based learning school. We focus on a couple of really important leadership skills like collaborate productively, critical thinking, communicate powerfully, and complete projects effectively. So along with making sure that students are keeping up with the content, they're also getting these life skills that they'll need to be successful in college and in the workplace. An assignment that I had for my AP government class was the paper on federalism. This paper focused on the Constitution and analyzing the Constitution to determine whether the state or the federal government should be in charge of a specific issue. All the students were given the choice to pick any issue, and I picked immigration. The states recently have been passing laws, and the federal government has been deeming them unconstitutional. My family immigrated here, so it kind of pertained to me as well, and it really evoked something in me to research and see what the actual solution to that issue would be. After researching all the current affairs about immigration, I began looking for laws that would give powers to Congress or give powers to the states. Immigration is not specifically mentioned in the Constitution, so you have to analyze more generalized law and apply it. I came to the conclusion that the federal government should be in charge, because not only is the Congress responsible for national security, the rights should be consistent throughout every state, because we do as a nation believe in equality. I think deeper learning is when a student learns something beyond the content that we're supposed to, when they're able to apply their experiences or apply the knowledge that they receive from other classes into what they're doing. Learning something through deeper learning really means internalizing the information. Before coming to Impact, I wasn't really sure whether or not I had the right skills and grades to be able to go to college. Impact gave me the inspiration that I was going to have the skills to be successful in college. It is really important for me to go to college because it will give me the skills and knowledge that I need to succeed, which is the key reason that my parents came here, to ensure that my brothers and I have a successful career and a happy life.
All right. So I saw some great comments. I forgot to ask the question before I played the video, but I put it in chat. And basically I asked, while you're watching this video, what do you notice? What choices and what voice did the teacher give to the student for this project? And yeah, he got to choose the topic that he wanted to cover for this class and for the research. And I really liked one of the comments that says choice allows them to research what impacts them directly. And you saw how immigration was a really important topic for him and his family. And so it allowed him to pick something that he was passionate about and really increases that motivation. And Renu says it also gives them confidence, right? Because it's a topic that they care about and they know that they can, really commit to it. And it also lends buy-in and motivation to learning. All good things. So I already see some teachers sharing how they use voice and choice in their classroom, but I would love to hear how you guys use voice and choice in your classroom or school right now. I see, let's see, Lorianne says she's giving kids a choice of 5 ways to present their newly acquired information, which I think is a great idea because different people have different communication skills, right? So some people communicate best visually, some audially, some maybe through written word, or some through something physical. So by giving them a choice, they can take more ownership of their learning and feel like they actually can pick something that they can be successful at. So what else do you guys do here? Choice boards, yeah, I'm noticing a lot of menus here. Project-based learning, lots of menu models, posters, videos, special electives, tic-tac-toe menus. Yeah, you notice this image as an example of a tic-tac-toe menus, task cards, letting the kids determine what option they can follow. And yeah, project-based learning really lends well to voice and choice on its own. Great way. So let's take it one step further and saying, okay, we use voice and choice in our general classroom practices and project-based learning, but how does this take into effect when you're teaching coding and robotics? And I want to break it down. So the first one we're going to cover is voice. And like some of you guys have said, with voice, students are given the chance to express their ideas and creativity. And what I like to say is coding is actually, and robotics are tools of expression. If you really treat it that way, you're giving them tools that they can use to express their ideas. Some of you guys have mentioned code.org, and actually when you go through code.org's many activities, you'll find instances of this where they're allowing the kids to give voice using coding. So they can basically tell a story through PlayLab. They can create an image through Artists, or they can create an app using AppLab or GameLab. And so if you think about it here, this kid chose penguins, cats, and a witch to tell their story of a video game. But they're using coding to tell that story. They're using coding to give that idea some shape and form. One of the first programs I actually built was a drawing using 8-bit way back when they were just floppy disks, right? And it really helped me see the why of why do I want to learn how to code. It's because I can express my ideas. So if you think about coding in that format and you tell kids that your students that, hey, this is a tool for you to share your ideas with the world, it allows them to understand the why and gives them the motivation of learning more about it. Who here has heard of Girls Who Code? I know some of you guys have. Yeah. We love Girls Who Code. Yeah, they're great. For those of you who don't know about Girls Who Code, Girls Who Code is an organization that tries to engage more girls into being passionate about coding. Now, I've attended actually several courses being taught at a local Girls Who Code chapter. And one of the first projects that they're given is to develop a website or an app that expresses ideas and issues that matter to them. So if you go online to Girls Who Code and you'll see the website here, you'll see actually some sample websites that the kids built about colorism and bias, AI bias, right? A Mission to Mars, The Thrilling Chronicles of Thana. And when I was attending class, one of the kids actually, she had a great idea. She wanted to use the website to express and share these recipes that her grandmother were passing down, and she wanted to be able to share them in a cool way. So here, once again, what we're showing them is that web design, right, and coding is a tool of expression to share your ideas. Again, and one of the things is, you lose a lot of girls sometimes if you only focus on video games with coding, because that's only one aspect of how coding can take form. But if you open that up into, okay, what else can I share? what else can I express with coding? You're going to capture a lot more other kids who are interested and engaged. So we actually partnered with Girls Who Code for a couple sessions using Q, our middle school robot here, which I'll show a little bit more about. But with Q, you can actually record your voice with the robot. So I chose to use that to help the kids exercise their voice a little more as well. So here you see an exercise where they are actually creating a choose your own adventure story that the robot is going to tell. And so the kids had to plan out using decision trees or conditionals of what the story was going to be like depending on what options the users put in. And then you can continue, and then they had to figure out how to program this story into their robot, you know, and so it was really great. They had to think about their user, but they also had to think about how to share their idea or communicate their story in a way that others could understand. So you can see you're pairing that coding with language arts, right, with other subject materials and giving them voice. So kids got to choose all sorts of subject matters. Some picked a haunted house. Some picked, one was all about unicorns. One was at a carnival. So you're giving them that expression of, oh, wow, I'm really getting an avenue to give voice to my ideas. Now, another thing is online forums and platforms, just like we are here with chat. I love this because I get to see what you guys are thinking while I'm teaching, right? It helps me assess what's working, what makes sense for people. And I think it's very important for kids to also have that avenue as well. I'm sure, especially for y'all from middle school and up, kids get more and more self-conscious as they get older. There's that peer pressure piece. And so when I was asking for feedback from kids after the activities, especially at Girls Who Code, I got very, very, very little offerings of feedback when I just asked kids to raise their hands. It was actually a little frustrating because I knew they had ideas, but they were afraid to share them. But when I use an online forum, such as Slack or other things like that, and I said, okay, log on to this online forum and ask the question, all of a sudden, those questions came flooding in because the kids could be anonymous. They could ask their questions without feeling the pressure of, oh, I'm going to say something that looks stupid in front of my classmates. They could actually be engaged and offer ideas and ask questions without feeling that pressure of, you know, I need to make a good impression. So from that, you were able to get voices that you might not really hear usually. The quiet students who don't really offer their hand up as much, by offering this online forum like Slack and other things like that. And Google Forms, Lori was saying she uses Google Forms. There's a lot of platforms out there you can explore where, you know, you can get them engaged in a different way than having to use their voice, because their actual voice, because that sometimes is not every kid's preferred communication style. So I'm going to play another video for you about this one kid, Thomas Juarez, who really found a way to express his voice using coding and technologies. So basically, while you're watching this video, I want you to think about what skills did Thomas have to gain, perhaps at home or at school, in order to give voice to his ideas. All right, so think about it. What skill sets did he have to build? What were those tools of expression he had to learn in order to give voice to his ideas? So I'm going to play that video here.
I've always had a fascination for computers and technology, and I made a few apps for the iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad. I'd like to share a couple with you today. My first app was a unique fortune teller called Earth Fortune that would display different colors of Earth depending on what your fortune was. And my favorite and most successful app is Bustin' Jeeber, which is a Justin Bieber whack-a-mole. I created it because a lot of people at school disliked Justin Bieber a little bit, so I decided to make the app. So I went to work programming it, and I released it just before the holidays in 2010. A lot of people ask me, how did I make these? A lot of times it's because the person who asked the question wants to make an app also. A lot of kids these days like to play games, but now they want to make them. And it's difficult because not many kids know where to go to find out how to make a program. I mean, for soccer, you could go to a soccer team. For violin, you could get lessons for a violin. But what if you want to make an app? And the kids' parents might have done some of these things when they were young, but not many parents have written apps. Where do you go to find out how to make an app? Well, this is how I approached it. This is what I did. First of all, I've been programming in multiple other programming languages to get the basics down, such as Python, C, Java, etc. And then Apple released the iPhone, and with it, the iPhone Software Development Kit. And the Software Development Kit is a suite of tools for creating and programming an iPhone app. This opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me. And after playing with the Software Development Kit a little bit, I made a couple apps. I made some test apps. One of them happened to be Earth Fortune, and I was ready to put Earth Fortune on the App Store. And so I persuaded my parents to pay the $99 fee to be able to put my apps on the App Store. They agreed, and now I have apps on the App Store. I've gotten a lot of interest and encouragement from my family, friends, teachers, and even people at the Apple Store, and that's been a huge help to me. I've got a lot of inspiration from Steve Jobs. And I started an app club at school, and a teacher at my school is kindly sponsoring my app club. Any student at my school can come and learn how to design an app. This is so I can share my experiences with others. There's these programs called the iPad Pilot Program, and some districts have them. I'm fortunate enough to be part of one. A big challenge is, how should the iPads be used, and what apps should we put on the iPads? So we're getting feedback from teachers at the school to see what kind of apps they'd like. When we design the app and we sell it, it will be free to local districts and other districts that we sell to. All the money from that will go into the local ed foundations. These days, students usually know a little bit more than teachers with the technology. So, sorry. So this is a resource to teachers, and educators should recognize this resource and make good use of it. I'd like to finish up by saying what I'd like to do in the future. First of all, I'd like to create more apps, more games. I'm working with a third-party company to make an app. I'd like to get into Android programming and development. And I'd like to continue my app club and find other ways for students to share knowledge with others. Thank you.
I love your comments, guys. Yes, he's a smart cookie, this one. Very impressive. I noticed a lot of comments saying he has an amazing personality, lots of confidence, and also the skill sets that I asked, what skill sets do you need? It was interesting. A lot of you guys were saying coding skills and things like that. But then others were saying, critical thinking skills, communication skills, other tools that were necessary to get him to give voice to his ideas. And then I noticed some said, this kid makes me feel stupid. I can't create an app. And it goes all the way back to that first slide we were saying, where you need to give up control of the classroom, and also maybe embrace that some of your students, when you're teaching coding and robotics, will know more than you. Probably guaranteed, just like he said. And that's okay, own it. Own that you don't know, like that you are also learning along with them. Some of you guys might have heard the term growth mindset, and it's a very, very important skill for Thomas here, who was trying out all these different apps and how to build them. And I'm sure he made mistakes along the way and he had failures, but he kept overcoming them and he was able to publish these apps. Now, when we don't know everything either, and it's okay, we can model great learning practices by saying, hey, I don't know how to do this. but let's work on it together. Let's look through and research it together and find out how to get the right tool to express this idea in the way we want to. And I also like how Thomas was even incentivized to create an app club to basically empower other kids to come up with their ideas and apps by teaching them how to build apps as well. So you can see that, yes, growth man is like Anna, exactly. So you can see how it's giving them these tools of coding, of robotics, may allow your kids to do something like Thomas can, you know, and you don't need to know everything. You just need to give them that support. A lot of people said he had teacher support and parent support. You just need to give him that support to acquire those tools themselves and to express his ideas. And as you saw, he was able to go back to his classmates, your other students, and help them succeed as well. So after seeing this, you know, I want you to think back again. Some of you guys shared examples, but how would you integrate more student voice into coding and robotics now that you've seen some of these ideas? So think about it. How would you integrate more student voice? And I showed some examples from the things we talked about for the previous slides. I like Lori saying, think like an engineer in all aspects of your life, right? So that's a great way to do it. Any other ideas? Yeah, so I think having them write an app on a topic of their interest is a great start because once again, it lets them express the ideas they care about, but they're all still building an app and they're all gaining the same skills that are important. Put your idea in practice. Yep. So, I like the whole idea of real world issues. So, you know, giving them, for example, that first video we showed where the kid chose a topic that he cared about like immigration, you could have them choose a real world issue that they care about and use coding and robotics to express what they've learned about that real world issue as well. Designing an app to solve problems for themselves and others. Yes. So that's also very empowering. And I think someone said from the first video, how was he given a choice on how to present what he learned? And I think that's important. And one of them is creating a tool for others. So, you know, by allowing them to create an app, they can basically create an app to show people what they learned, but also to help other people solve problems as well. And that is a really great way to give voice to an idea. Improving their communities, that's a good one too. So these are all great ideas. I want you to keep having this question in your mind. You know, it's the start of the school year. As you yourself are making choices, look at every opportunity where like, hey, where could I fold in more voice for my students and this sector of what they're learning? You know, what's another way I can help them understand that coding and robotics are tools of expression to share your ideas with the world? So think on that. All right. Got to keep rolling though because of time. So we're going to move on to the second part here, using choice with coding and robotics. So choice, like I'd like to define, is with choice, students are given opportunities to personalize their learning experience and make educated decisions. Now, this second part I think is very crucial, especially for older kids. Half of the learning is making decisions when you're presented with a problem. And so giving choice isn't just giving kids, options, more options, I feel like I'm more motivated, but it's actually a key learning opportunity for them as well. And I show an example here of a notebook that I'll share later, where we actually present kids with a choice, and they have to make an educated decision based on A, their preferences, and B, their abilities as well. I'm gonna share another video here. Who here has heard of the maker community? I'm sure most of you guys have, but I wanted to share this video here that highlights the maker community and how the maker community really folds in a lot of choices for kids. So as you're watching this video, try listing or adding into the attendee chat the different choices you notice that the kids get to make in their maker community. Let's see, here we go.
One of the things that we've discovered is that maker education with kids gets them engaged, gets them passionate about the work, gives them opportunities to pursue things that they're interested in. And as a result, it really raises the level of work that kids are doing, and it starts to make sense. School makes sense.
How are you?
This is actually my first year at this school. I thought this would be a great program that they're doing here, letting you build your own stuff and have more freedom than other schools. I feel like I'm learning way more doing this.
When we tell students what to do, all they're learning is to comply with us. But there's nothing more powerful to build that sense of intrinsic motivation than making something that really matters to you.
And these are your analog pins. This is my picture helper. It has 11 lasers right here on your side and 7 lasers on the bottom right here. And they both shoot up into some photoresistors right here.
The 6th grade, we really struggled. He struggled in science and math a little bit last year.
Usually I just wake up and be like, why do I want to go to school? All we're going to do is sit in the class. Mr. Redder in the technology room says, learn with your hands. And I built the entire code by myself. I'm pretty proud because I didn't think I could get anything of this caliber done.
That really lit a fire under him. I knew he had it in him, I just didn't think I'd see it so quickly. You know, it's kind of open your eyes a little bit, like there are other ways of doing things.
He's just learning because he's doing something that matters to him. And that's what we believe in.
Making provides a different pathway to learning. And one of the things that we know as we watch our kids make, they oftentimes are bringing in all of the different content areas, but what it's doing is giving them a context for learning.
Right, it'll be a little bit shorter. I had a girl last year who was redoing some stools for us, and we were measuring the circles, and as she's cutting them, she goes, "This is the thing we did in geometry." She did fine on her homework, got an A in the class, but not until she was making this really beautiful stool did she say, "Holy moly, this makes sense."
What I think is probably the most impactful to me is watching the students who come in the classroom who haven't felt really successful in school. All of a sudden these kids who might struggle with reading but who are really strong at building something with their hands, or they can kind of envision things 3 steps ahead, they're starting to be looked at by other kids like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Because they had not had an opportunity necessarily to show that kind of strength that they had.
We were able to see some kids that were building aqueducts. Well, last year this time, 4 of those students were having major behavior problems about this time of the school year. So it just shows the power of engagement, the power of choice, and Maker allows for that.
The choice in the kinds of projects that kids do is one of the things that we believe is really critical, that kids should have a chance to really think about, how do I want to show what it is that I'm learning here.
We're building the Colosseum from Rome. I really like architectural structures and hands-on things. Minecraft is a game that you use blocks to build things. So we're building a Roman Colosseum in Minecraft.
What we try to do is to give the kids the tools, and that can be as simple as cardboard or as sophisticated as 3D printers in music production studios, and basically say, let's turn people loose and unleash the potential to make.
What I do with my schoolwork is I rap everything. I started writing music to my homework assignments, and then now they say I can write my music to projects.
I remember having dreams by me getting a couple bands. Now I'm at these shows living my dreams for a couple fans.
There's one way of learning things is listen to somebody else explain it to you, but if you do it yourself, look up your own research and everything else, you start getting it by yourself, and then it helps you progress and remember it better.
Because I'm working hard, boy, my stress is finally running out.
And so for me, it's not about the cardboard or the glue gun. When kids become agents of their own learning, when they embrace their own learning, when they own their future, that for me is giving kids a lifetime of learning that will carry them through job after job, through learning experience after learning experience, into workforce, into post-secondary education, into their homes, into their communities. It's all important.
Wow, I love the comments that were just going on in chat during this video. Really great comments, you guys. Yeah, there were choices in different ways, right? It wasn't just the project itself, they got to choose the projects. But I love one of the comments that said, you know, they got to choose the way that they could demonstrate their own learning. One kid chose a rap song, one kid chose Minecraft, one kid chose how to build something from scratch. So you see here, that basically you're giving them ownership of their learning, and because they get to make that choice, they start to see the why of the learning. Why am I learning this? Oh, it's to get me to that thing that I care the most about, right? So if you really fold that in to their experience, you're really going to see that change where they take ownership and they see the why behind what you're teaching them. Some photos here of different spaces that we've seen. This teacher right here, her name's Kristen. I don't know if any of you guys have gone to the Maker Fair, but she basically created a Maker Lab in her classroom and has actually encouraged the kids to print things in the 3D printers that they have and to make things that they sell online in the store, online store. Then they take the funds from that, whatever they earn, and it actually gets them to raise enough funds so they can go to Maker Fair in San Mateo and exhibit their projects there. So she's folding in tons of choice into that project. Kids actually choose what project they're going to sell, and they also choose what project they're really going to exhibit at the Maker Fair. And these kids pick things from interactive books that have magnets attached to it, to video games, to drone, and adding attachments to drones. Because they have those choices, when you see them present their ideas, they're super passionate. They're really excited about what they have to share. And you can also see the applications of what you guys are saying, multiple subject areas within each project as well. So I really encourage that. Now, another way to add more choice, and you guys have talked about this, these menus or tic-tac-toe. Have you guys, who here has tried something like that, like a homework menu or an activity menu or something like that? Moses has, that's right. Gina, you've done it too. So I don't know if you guys have heard the story here behind takeaway homework. I shared some links down here for you guys to check out. But this was a teacher in the UK who thought of this thing called takeaway homework, and basically rated homework by spiciness level from mild, hot to extremely spicy. So the kids actually, by showing, you don't just show them the choices, but sort of inform them give them some information about the choices they can make. Right? So if a kid says, I don't want to be that challenged, they can go for a mild homework assignment. Or if they want super challenged, they can go for a spicy assignment instead. And so that way kids can sort of level their own learning, and you get to choose what the options are, obviously. So you can make sure everything on your takeaway homework will make the kids practice those skill sets that you know are important. And every single choice obviously also demonstrates learning. Don't throw in some options that basically makes it an easy out for the kids. But you can offer these options to make the kids feel like, A, they have more choice, and B, they have more ownership of what's the best way for them to demonstrate their own learning. Lorianne, what are flipped classrooms? I'm curious about that. I show this other example because what has happened is this trend where they took this idea, and now a lot of teachers across multiple subject areas will build out menus very specific to their needs. So this is actually a CS teacher who did an assignment on loops or repeats, and has a really extra mild activity that basically has very minimal requirements. You just need to include one variable, one loop. And it works all the way up to something up here where it adds more sophistication and actually an extra hot, and this is totally fine for you too. The assignment incorporates things that you might not even have taught in the class. That it really pushes the kids to have to go and research information to add more to their project. So once again, you're pushing them to take ownership of their learning and to also learn how to acquire information themselves as well. So you can really scale up that difficulty level with something like takeaway homework. Last but not least, programming paradigms. So this is a screenshot from our lobby of Q. And basically with Q, our robot here, we actually offer kids multiple programming paradigms that kids can use to program the robot. So in here, you can see that you can program in blocks, just like Blockly, but you can also program in JavaScript, Or you could program using state machines, which are basically decision trees for robots. It helps the robot make decisions. So given any problem, the kids get to choose what programming paradigm matches what best for that problem. And once again, because of that choice, they're learning how to make an educated decision about it, right? So you basically are pushing them to analyze the problem in a different way and say, wait, which paradigm works best for this project? And you could do the same thing too. You know, there's different programming languages out there as well, JavaScript or Python. Why not teach both tools or both languages to your kids and allow them to make that choice of which language works best for the project that they choose to do further on. So from here, I'd love to hear what you guys are planning to do. How would you integrate more student choice into coding and robotics after what we've done and talked about example-wise? Just gonna give you guys a couple minutes because I know we're short on time. Takeaway homework, yeah. I'd love to see what you guys do with that because I think takeaway homework's a really fun way to really offer more choices. Implement the takeaway homework in my Google Classrooms. Yeah, you can always do that in your Google Docs too. On websites, there's a lot of different ways you can do takeaway. You could even do takeaway during, you could even do a menu for in-class activities as well. So you post the menu on the classroom wall, and during independent time, like let's say 20 minutes, they can choose one of the activities to do during that independent time. Robotics puppets, nice, cool. So keep thinking about that again, just like I said about student voice. As you're making decisions, you yourself, as you're making choices throughout the school year, how could you add little bits of opportunities for kids to make choices as well? Okay. Last but not least, I wanted to share how we integrate voice and choice into Wonder Workshop as well. Like I said, I work at Wonder Workshop. We make robots that teach kids how to code. Has anybody heard of us before or worked with our robots before? Lori loves Dash and Dot. Awesome. Yes, Keisha has. Awesome. Great. Ooh, Tracy, I like the rubrics piece. Great, yeah. So we do make robots for young kids. Dash and Dot are for kindergarten through 5th grade and up, 5th grade. But Q is our new robot made just for middle school students here. And the reason why we built this robot here is, once again, we wanted to integrate things that require more independent learning skills and also integrating more voice and choice for the robots. So basically, we created a curriculum around the robot that just launched last week that is filled with voice and choice in every single component. And I only have a little bit of time to review here. But like I said, in our app, we actually have lots of challenges for kids to choose through that they can actually complete at their own pace. You can see little check marks. They can choose to complete challenges using block coding if they're just familiar with blocks. But we also have now challenges in JavaScript as well. So for kids who are ready to take that next leap, they can actually learn how to program Q here using JavaScript. The other thing, like I said, is that they have programming paradigms. So we also have challenges here in Wonder, so they can learn how to use decision trees as well to do so. Now with the notebook, this is a brand new notebook that we came out with. It's for students. It's a spiral bound notebook, 6x8, handy dandy notebook here. And this one is full of voices and choices as well. Just like we have the takeaway homework, in here we actually have activity menus. And these activity menus, basically, we present them with 4 activity ideas that they can choose from. And they're basically metered, so you actually see a meter of difficulty, so they can choose, okay, I want to tackle an easy one or a difficult one, just like takeaway homework. And whatever activity they choose, they're still getting basically practice for the same robot or coding concept. And then we have blank paper prompts for them to plan out that activity and reflect on their work as well. Now, I think we don't have time for this video. I'll have to play it later, but we actually have SketchKit here, and SketchKit basically allows you to draw with the robot too. So once again, it's another way of expressing their ideas with the robot, and as part of the activity menu, it's a choice. They can actually choose to use SketchKit to explore robot capability as well. voice and choice again. And then for the notebook, kids actually tackle a long-term project all along the note as they work through the notebook. And they get a choice of 3 long-term project options. So they can choose in this one to either teach a topic, produce a show, or make a music video with the robot. So you see, regardless of what choice they make, they're practicing creative writing, along with coding and robotics. And what we do in the notebook is we break that project down into project phases. So the kids tackle that project chunk by chunk as they learn about robot capabilities. And through this project, they actually have to create a master plan. They have to refine their work. They have to prepare a presentation and also reflect on their work as well. So once again, you've got that choice. They choose which project they want to do. And then you have that voice, because each one, they're giving voice to an idea using creative writing. In the notebook also, we have references and resources, once again, tools for kids to use for their activities, lots of formulas and conversions, because they're going to need to know how to do that using Sketchkit as they draw things out. We also allow them to have a menu where they can get like ideas about what coding capabilities they can use with their robot. Last but not least, we also have voice and choice for you guys, the teachers. So we have a free online curriculum guide right now. And for every single activity in the notebook, we offer the solution in blocks, JavaScript, and in Wonder, so that you can, regardless of what choice the kids make, have a solution for them if they get stuck. We also give you evaluation rubrics, so you have lots of options for how you can assess your students' work. And last but not least, we also have 10 full-on lesson plans full of lots of extension activities and optional activities that you can use to integrate this notebook into your classroom. So each of these are 50 to 60 minutes each, but within each lesson we have optional extensions. If you really want to dive into JavaScript, we have sections that go over that. If you really want to dive into the computing process, we actually even have unplugged activities in these lessons that talk about the computing process, that talk about design thinking, and also that talks about creative writing, about how do you help the kids understand who your audience is when you're writing a story. So once again, lots of voice and choice. These lessons are for you as a template, as some tools, just like you're giving tools to your students. You don't have to use them all, but these are resources that you can use to be successful with your curriculum with coding and robotics as well. Last but not least, I noticed during the Maker community video that a lot of people said they were really excited how the Maker projects really integrated cross-curricular subject areas, and that kids got context of why they were learning math, ELA, or they were learning history topics. So here, there's a website link where we actually have created cross-curricular lessons just for Q that actually integrate different subject areas, and you can search these lessons by subject area. So here you'll see lessons where we actually walk you guys through how to integrate Q into a descriptive writing class, or how to integrate Q into a science class where you actually explore states of matter as well. So once again, lots of choice for you guys. Depending on where you want to teach Q and how you want to teach Q, you have these options for you, all available online as well. All right, so we got questions and answers here. So this is our Q&A section. Totally here to answer any questions you have. Feel free to add questions to the question mark at the top of the bar, and I'm going to work through some of these questions here as well. With any time left, I might even do I might share my screen and demo how the Q app looks and works like too. Let's see, how do I say this? Key, Q-A-E-Y. QIEY wanted to say, have you created a notebook for Dash and Dot? No, we have not. We know the notebooks are for, for slightly older kids. The language is for older kids. For Dash and Dot, we've created Learn to Code challenge cards. Quay, okay, thank you, Quay. And those challenge cards are really helpful too, where kids can complete challenges one after the other. They become more and more open-ended near the end as well. Let's see. Next one. Does Sketchkit also work with the Dash robot? Why, yes, it does work with the Dash robot, Tammy. You might have seen our webinar about a couple months ago. Dylan and I, we did a webinar about Sketchkit, and yes, Sketchkit is compatible with both Dash and Q. Let's see. here we go. Is Q too simple for high school students? Absolutely not, Tracy. I am still learning coding concepts using Q. Currently, Unit 1 is available for Q, and it covers the basics like loops and events and sequences. But we're planning 2 more units out for the next 6 months or so. So the next unit is actually more complex. It actually covers conditionals, functions, variables in JavaScript. So you're actually learning about passing parameters. And that last unit, oh my goodness, that is definitely really great for high school students. We actually teach arrays. So you get really complex very quickly through these units with Q. So I would say definitely high school students can get a lot of content and value from Q as well. And with SketchKit, you're getting exposure to pretty advanced geometry. Kids actually have to understand the difference between an exterior and an interior angle sometimes to get those really complex shapes. So definitely Q is ready for high school. Let's see. I'm asking about the level because I'm looking to start a girls coding club for high school, but in our Quebec is, okay, yeah, exactly. So Q would be perfect, grades 7 through 11. You can get, we like to say low floor, high ceiling. So like you saw, we have multiple programming paradigms. So for the lower level kids, they can just program in blocks. Really simple, basic things. You can use Unit 1 where they're just really telling a story with the robot. But for your more advanced kids, they could be programming in JavaScript using extremely advanced concepts. So I'm happy, I shared my contact information, but if you want more ideas about how to implement that, feel free to contact me and we can go over some more specific strategies for you. All right. Do you have a loaner program so we may use one and get our administration on board to purchase? Currently, we do not have loaner programs, but if you check on our online store, for the next month, we're giving away some pretty great bundles and deals for single packs for you to just purchase one to try out, and it's just full of all that curriculum content stuff for you to try out. So definitely check out our online store, and feel free to contact me too. I can put you in touch with, we have an outreach team from region to region. I can put you in touch with our outreach area in Georgia to help you get some ideas about how you can try out the robot first before committing to it. Can you modify the Q curriculum to work with Dash? A little bit, but I feel like you're not going to get the full experience. If you see in the notebook here, we actually have full color illustrations. I don't know if I can show this. Ta-da! Featuring all the personalities and characters. Oh, I'm going the other way. Here we go. Personalities and characters of Q. So if you use this with Dash, it's going to be a little jarring. But I would say, it might be worth buying one notebook and examining it because a lot of these activities can be completed with Dash on its own. I would just say you would basically get like a 50% experience if you'd only use Dash using this curriculum. All right, let's see. Puzzlets. Oh man, when are the pre-K Puzzlets for Dash going to come back in stock? That is still, we did not anticipate how popular Puzzlets is going to be. So, please, keep on our email list. We'll keep you guys updated. We're still working that out. Let's see. I teach middle school and have college students for student teaching. Would this be good for them? I think so. It really depends on your students' coding abilities. Once again, Thomas, feel free to contact me and we can dive more deeply into your students' coding capabilities. So if your college students haven't had any coding experience, Q is great to start with too. Once again, low floor, high ceiling. You can start really low with just blocks and then quickly jump to JavaScript depending on their needs. So once again, yeah, you have a lot of options there. Okay, so we're done with Q&A. We got about 5 more minutes. Wow, we still got most of you guys in here. Awesome. I love seeing that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Well, let me wrap up real quick, actually. And then with any extra time, I'll share my screen and we'll go through the Q web platform here. So once again, for more information, feel free to visit our website, education.makewonder.com. We're also live on Twitter and also on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. We post lots of videos. We love seeing your ideas. And I think we've already shared it in chat, but feel free to email me, charlotte@makewonder.com, if you have even more specific questions about implementation strategies. You can also catch me on Twitter as well. And last but not least, don't forget to download your CE certificate for this ed webinar. If you're watching this non-live, remember, and you'll need to take a quiz. So definitely, or if you dialed in by phone. So remember to take that quiz to get your certificate. And don't forget to join edweb.net/code to join our community and see more webinars that are available in the future. All right, let's see how many people are left here. Still got a lot of people. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, guys. Got 4 minutes. Okay, gonna share my screen. You guys gonna get a sneak? Actually, 1 second. Oh, we have more questions. Okay, let me address them real quick and then I'll share my screen. We have more questions. Can you share the coding for the more complicated picture you have for Q for your presentation videos? Coral, could you please email me and I'll send you the image, okay? That's a great question. I'm happy to share those screenshots for you. All right, so let me get my page ready. Give me 1 second. Okay, now I'm gonna share screen. Done. This is how I sound when I talk while navigating. Okay, now I'm gonna share. Okay, and I'm gonna do this. I think you guys can, you can see my screen. Okay, so let's see. Ooh, can you guys see this? I think you can. Actually, I'm gonna do this one more time. Sorry guys, thanks for your patience. Share. How do I make sure I don't show my screen? Oh, I know, I'll turn this off. Stop my webcam. Haha, there we go. All right, let's see who else is on here. All right, so this is the Q web platform that we talked about. So I can walk you through some of these sections so you can see what it looks like. So for block in JavaScript, this might look familiar if you've worked with dash.code.org. Scratch is block-based programming, and if I go here, you can see I have a lot of programs I save. This is account. You can save by account login, so kids can actually save their programs to the cloud, which is great. And so you can program using blocks. We've got a menu here full of blocks where you can control how the robot moves and all the events. Like you can say, oh, if I detect an obstacle in the front, I want the robot to, let's say, turn red. Right? So every time whoever did the sensor webinar with Dylan and David last week, this is basically event handling right there. Now with a touch of a button, what kids can do then is translate it into JavaScript. Whoa. And they can keep adding lines of code. And what we did here is we still have that menu, but now it's all in JavaScript. So one of the scariest things for kids when they're learning JavaScript is syntax. Where do I put that period? Where do I put that parentheses? Well, here, we sort of solve that problem for them because what they can do is just click on these snippets of code and those parentheses, those periods are all set and they can go in and just change the numbers. So I want the robot to move 50 instead. Now, if your student is really intimidated still and they're like, I don't know about this, you can still touch this button and it translates it right back into blocks. So you can see that the kids can toggle back and forth, once again, voice and choice, until they feel comfortable programming in JavaScript. That really helps them with that scaffolding piece, so they don't get scared the first time they see JavaScript. They can always jump back. Let's check in, see how many people we got. All right. Oh, we're almost out of time. I'm going to show this to you guys too. So the other programming paradigm we have is Wonder. Whoever's done Dash before, this might be familiar to you guys too. It's state machine-based programming with lots of decision trees. And I'm just waiting to load here. There we go. And this one is just like creating a flow chart for your robot. So I want my robot to go here or to go here. So if the robot basically hears a clap, then it'll move forward. If the robot's top button is pressed, then it will turn orange. So you can see it's a very different way of programming the robot, but depending on the problem we present or the challenge we present, this one actually might be easier to solve. It might be easier to solve that problem using a Wonder instead of block or JavaScript. Once again, the kids make that choice, and they're learning by making that educated decision because they have to analyze the problem in a different way. So yeah, definitely check this out. You can go to code.makewonder.com right here using a Chromebook or Microsoft product and try it out yourselves. You don't even need the robot to try some of this out just to get a sense of what the programming experience is like. That's about it, guys. I loved hearing your comments. I want to encourage you as you move forward in the school year, think about it. Voice and choice. How am I going to get there? How am I going to help my kids take more ownership of their learning and help them learn how coding and robotics are just tools to express your own ideas? All right? Bye, guys. Thanks for attending, and I hope to see you next time.
Charlotte, let's play that last video while people are.
The last. Oh, yeah. We can
play it.
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Some people are still on, huh? Okay, I'm going to do it. Ready? This video, I want you guys to try and guess what. Somebody's got it. Ow. Yeah. So just give it a finger. Let's go. Yeah, it's close. Yeah, it's a bull. Basically, we did that to celebrate Picasso one day. So that's how you can use SketchKit. Awesome. A link for this video to show to students. Yes, I think we'll be able to share all the links eventually. But yeah. All right. I think I'm ready to stop recording here, going off air. But bye, guys. Thanks for attending.